You were mocked, laughed at, dismissed, not because you failed, but because someone saw a moment of vulnerability and made it their punchline. But you didn't fight back. You didn't beg for respect. You chose something far more powerful: silence, focus, and discipline. This isn't just about getting even. It's about becoming undeniable. In today's video, we explore how to rise after public humiliation using timeless Stoic principles. You'll learn how to control your emotions, stand on your values, and let your growth do the talking. If you've ever felt underestimated, this is for you. Stay with us. Your quiet comeback starts here. Let success be the comeback that makes them bow their heads. Have you ever been laughed at in front of a crowd? Not because you failed, but because someone saw your vulnerability and decided to use it for entertainment. Maybe you misspoke, maybe you stumbled, maybe you weren't at your sharpest. And instead of empathy, they gave you a punchline. They wanted to shrink you, make you question your worth, steal your confidence. And the worst part, everyone laughed, not because it was truly funny, but because group laughter is easier than standing alone. You stood there humiliated, angry, maybe even trembling, but you didn't fight back. You didn't lash out. You didn't explain yourself. And that's where your power began. You chose silence, but not silence from defeat. Silence from discipline. You walked away not because you were weak, but because you had something bigger in mind. A comeback that didn't need noise. A revenge that wouldn't taste like bitterness, but purpose. From that day forward, you trained harder. You woke up earlier. You read more, learned faster, worked with a kind of hunger no one could see. You weren't proving them wrong. You were proving yourself right. Weeks passed, then months. You didn't need to post updates. You didn't need to flex, because real power never announces itself. It just arrives. And when it does, even those who once mocked you go quiet. Because now your results are the loudest thing in the room. The ones who laughed are watching, not with ridicule, but with respect, with envy, with regret. They underestimated you. They thought they broke you. But all they did was ignite the version of you that doesn't need to shout to be heard. Success isn't a scream. It's a storm that builds in silence. Let your growth haunt them. Let your peace disturb them. Let your discipline be the echo of everything they tried to tear down. You don't need applause. You don't need approval. You need to become undeniable. Cold silence is the sharpest reply. There are moments when saying nothing hurts more than the harshest words. When someone tries to humiliate you publicly, what they crave most is not your respect. It is your reaction. They want your anger, your embarrassment, your outburst, because the moment you respond, they win. They have pulled you into their chaos, and now they control the room. But silence, cold, calculated silence, or sweet service is where shines. That is a move they never expect. You look at them, you say nothing. You don't blink, you don't smirk, you don't defend. You just let the void speak, and suddenly the power shifts. The louder they get, the smaller they look, because now they are performing alone, desperate, and everyone sees it. This kind of silence is not weakness. It is presence. It is restraint fueled by power. It tells the room that this person is not worth your words, not worth your energy, not worth your time. While they shout, you remain still. While they seek attention, you withdraw yours. And that absence becomes louder than any insult could ever be. There was a time when someone said something cruel about me in front of others. They expected laughter. They expected me to react. I didn't. I just looked them in the eyes with nothing but stillness. No hate, no fear, just awareness. And in that moment, they shrank. Because I didn't play their game. I left them standing in their own noise. What happened after? Nothing. And everything, the crowd noticed. The tone changed. The person who tried to embarrass me didn't get the response they needed. And the silence, it echoed. It made people curious. It made them reflect. It made them respect. Because real control is not proven by overpowering someone. It is proven by not needing to. So next time someone disrespects you in front of others, don't give them a stage. Take the air out of the room. Let your stillness be the mirror that exposes their desperation. Let your silence be so loud that it unsettles them. Not because you were afraid to speak, but because you chose not to waste your breath. Speak firmly once, then let them sit with the consequences. There is power in speaking once, in saying exactly what you mean with clarity, confidence, and finality. No repetition, no begging to be understood, no chasing after validation. Because the moment you start repeating yourself to someone who already disrespected you, you are no longer standing your ground. You are surrendering it. Some people don't want clarity. They want control. They don't want your explanation. They want your energy. And when you keep explaining, when you keep defending, you feed their ego and starve your dignity. That's why the strongest move is to say your truth one time, calm, precise, no emotion, then close the door. I remember someone once insulted me during a meeting. He wanted attention. He wanted a reaction. Instead, I gave him one sentence, sharp, measured. True, I said what needed to be said, and then I said no more. I leaned back, let the room breathe. And the silence after that sentence carried more weight than any argument ever could. People expect conflict. They expect noise. But when you speak once and never again, it unsettles them. They don't know what to do with that kind of certainty. Because when you don't argue, when you don't justify, you show something rare inner strength. You show that you are not here to prove yourself. You are here to protect your peace. Let them misinterpret you. Let them twist your words. Let them talk. You don't need to clarify anything to people who wanted to misunderstand you from the beginning. Your voice is not for convincing doubters. It is for building your path. The more silent you become after making your point, the more powerful your presence becomes. So speak once. Say what matters. Say it without fear and without rage. Say it from a place of clarity, not from emotion. Then step back and let them deal with their own echo. Let your words hang in the air like a mirror. If they want closure, let them close the door themselves. You already walked away. Use smart sarcasm like a hidden blade. When someone tries to humiliate you in front of others, their goal is clear. They want to make you flinch. They want to see you crack. They want to show the crowd that they are clever, that they are in control, that you are nothing but a target. And most people, when they feel cornered like that, either explode or shrink. But there is another way, a sharper way, one that cuts deeper than anger ever could. A calm, well-placed joke. Not a loud laugh, not a comedy show, just one line that slides in quietly and hits like a dagger. Because when you stay composed and respond with wit, you don't just protect your dignity. You expose their weakness. The crowd hears your line subtle but sharp, and suddenly the energy shifts. The one who attacked you now looks uncomfortable, nervous, even small. And you didn't raise your voice. You didn't get emotional. You just reminded everyone that you're not the one to be played with. I remember once someone made a comment meant to humiliate me during a group discussion. They expected me to get defensive. Instead, I smiled and replied with a simple, clean line. Nothing too harsh, just enough to sting. Then I moved on, like nothing happened. That moment didn't need drama. It needed precision, and that's what sarcasm offers. Precision without chaos. Smart sarcasm does three things. First, it confuses the aggressor. They expected emotion. You gave them elegance. Second, it flips the room. People admire those who stay calm under fire. Third, it makes your words memorable. People forget arguments, but they remember that one line, that one moment, that shift. You don't need to out-yell someone trying to humiliate you. You just need to outthink them. Let your words dance. Let them land softly but cut sharply. You don't need to insult. You don't need to belittle. Just respond with control, with cleverness, with calm, and walk away like nothing touched you. That's how you protect your peace and your pride at the same time. A joke can be a blade. Use it wisely. Eliminate those who sided with the humiliation. When someone disrespects you publicly, your eyes naturally go to them first. But look again. Look at the people around them. The ones who laughed, the ones who stayed quiet, the ones who looked away. In that moment, their silence and their smiles said everything. They made a choice, maybe not out loud, but their reaction spoke volumes. And if you keep those people around thinking they were just caught off guard, you are betraying yourself more than they ever did. Because loyalty is loudest when things get uncomfortable, it's easy to be kind when everyone's laughing at someone else. It's harder to stay kind when your silence would mean complicity. The truth is, the ones who sat beside you and still chose to laugh were never with you. They were with the moment, with the comfort, with the crowd. And when you allow them to stay in your circle, you teach them that your dignity has no boundary. I remember a time when someone made a cruel joke about me loud enough for the whole room to hear. But what stung the most wasn't the joke itself. It was the three people next to me who laughed. People I had helped, supported, defended. In that moment, I didn't react. I didn't argue. I just took note. That was the last day they were allowed access to me. Cutting people off doesn't always require anger. It requires clarity. When someone laughs at your pain, they're showing you exactly who they are. And you owe it to yourself to believe them. You don't need closure. You don't need confrontation. You just need distance. Quiet, firm, and final. Because every time you keep someone who clapped for your humiliation, you lose a piece of yourself. Your peace, your pride. And over time, you begin to question what kind of treatment you truly deserve. But when you walk away from those who stood by and did nothing, you are no longer asking for respect. You are declaring it. Evolve quietly so they regret underestimating you. When someone humiliates you, it is never just about the moment. It is a message. They are saying you are not enough. You are not strong, not smart, not worthy of respect. And in that moment, you have a choice. You can try to fight back, scream, argue, prove your value through words, or you can go silent. Not out of defeat, but out of intention, out of a promise to yourself that you will rise without their permission. Because the best revenge is not loud. It is patient. It is personal. It is built in silence and sweat, in repetition and discipline. You take the disrespect and use it as fuel, not to show them what they missed, but to show yourself who you truly are. You evolve not to hurt them. You evolve because you were always meant to become more. I remember being underestimated, looked down on. Someone once laughed when I shared my idea in a room full of people. I didn't argue. I didn't chase approval. I simply got to work. I stopped talking and started building. I took every doubt, every insult, and turned it into energy. No status updates, no announcements, just focus. Months later, that same person reached out, this time asking for advice, asking how I did it, how I grew so quickly. But by then I had outgrown the need to explain. My progress had already spoken. My silence had already answered everything. That is the moment when you realize you don't need applause. You need progress. You don't need revenge. You need evolution. When you level up in silence, it catches people off guard. They expected you to fall apart. They never expected you to come back stronger. But that's the beauty of moving in silence. By the time they realize what you've become, it's too late. You don't need to humiliate them back. Life already handled that for you. So stay quiet, stay focused, stay dangerous. Let your transformation be the thing they never saw coming. Let your growth be the answer to every insult they ever threw. They thought they broke you. Let them live with the truth that they only helped build you. Set clear boundaries and protect them with silence. Every time someone disrespects you and you stay silent, the world is watching. But silence alone is not always strength. Sometimes silence can be confusion, or fear, or avoidance. That is why you need more than stillness. You need standards. You need boundaries that are not just spoken, but enforced. Because people do not respect what you say, they respect what you protect. When someone crosses the line and you let it slide, they learn something dangerous. They learn they can do it again. And worse, others see that too. They see that your dignity has no defense, that your silence is not power but hesitation. The truth is most people will test you, not because they hate you, but because they want to see how much you'll tolerate. They want to know if you are all talk or if your silence comes with consequences. I remember someone once made a habit of joking at my expense. Little comments always followed by, "Relax, I'm just kidding." One day in front of others, he crossed the line, and I didn't raise my voice. I didn't argue. I simply said, "This is the last time you'll speak to me like that." He laughed, thinking I was bluffing. But I wasn't. I didn't need to prove it. I just needed to act on it. After that day, he no longer had access to me. Boundaries are not about controlling others. They are about honoring yourself. They are the invisible walls that say, "This is who I am, and this is what I will not allow." And when someone violates that, you don't need to shout. You don't need to explain. You show them with silence, with distance, with disappearance, not to punish, but to protect. When you hold the line, some people will leave. Let them. Growth always creates discomfort for those who can't match it. And yes, they might call you cold, distant, arrogant. But what they really mean is that you can no longer be manipulated, that you finally value yourself more than their approval. And that is the moment when self-respect becomes unshakable. Emotional control is the most silent counterattack. In a world that constantly pushes your buttons, emotional control is not just a skill. It is a shield. It is the difference between being played and being powerful. There will be moments when someone tries to humiliate you, not because they truly dislike you, but because they want to feel bigger than you. They want to see you lose your balance. They want to own your reaction. And if you are not careful, they will get exactly what they came for. But here's the truth. When you let someone provoke you into anger, you hand them your power wrapped in emotion. You let them write your script. You react instead of choosing. And that is when you lose control of the moment. Real strength is not proven through rage. It is revealed in restraint. It's being able to stand in the middle of chaos and say, "I will not be moved by this." Emotional control does not mean being cold. It does not mean pretending you don't care. It means you feel it all, the sting, the embarrassment, the pressure, and you still respond with clarity, not confusion, with choice, not impulse. Most people think reacting quickly shows strength, but real power lives in the pause, in the space between stimulus and response. That's where self-respect is built. That's where wisdom grows. I remember being targeted in a room full of people. Someone made a sarcastic jab loud enough to get laughs. I felt my face flush, my breath catch. Every cell in my body screamed to strike back. But I didn't. I just looked at him with calm eyes, said nothing, and allowed the moment to pass. The tension shifted, the laughter faded, and he looked smaller than before. Because in that silence, I owned the space. I didn't give him what he wanted. I gave myself what I needed: control. Think about this. How many regrets come from things we said in anger? How many relationships damaged? Opportunities lost? Your emotions are powerful, but they are not always wise. You must learn to separate your emotions from your decisions. Let yourself feel, but don't let feelings decide. That's not suppression. That's self-respect. So the next time someone disrespects you or tries to tear you down, take a breath. Ask yourself, do I want to be in control? Or do I want to feel temporary relief? Because yelling might feel good now, but silence lasts longer. And nothing is more terrifying to someone trying to provoke you than realizing they can't. Control is quiet. It doesn't announce itself. It doesn't need to be seen. It simply is. It shows up in how you hold your face, how you breathe, how you choose stillness when the room expects fire. That is the discipline of a strong mind. That is the mark of someone who cannot be shaken from the outside because they are anchored from within. You don't rise by controlling others. You rise by mastering yourself. And when you master your emotions, you are no longer at the mercy of anyone else's behavior. They can throw insults, they can laugh, they can push, but they cannot move you because you are already grounded. That is the most silent and devastating counterattack of all. Live by your values, not for their approval. There comes a moment in your growth when you stop asking the world for permission. You stop waiting for applause. You stop adjusting your identity just to make others comfortable. And instead you begin to live by something stronger, something deeper. Your values. Because applause fades, opinions shift, people forget. But your values, they stay. They anchor you when everything else is uncertain. Most people live for validation. They want to be accepted, praised, liked. So they bend, they shrink, they filter their truth to fit into rooms that were never built for them. But what they don't realize is that chasing approval is a race with no finish line. No matter how much you do, it's never enough. No matter how many times you prove yourself, someone will still doubt you, still criticize, still misunderstand. And in trying to please everyone, you forget who you are. Living by your values means you choose integrity over popularity, peace over attention, growth over acceptance. It means doing the right thing even when no one claps. It means standing alone if that's what it takes to stand for something true. The world will always try to pull you in different directions, but your values are the compass that keeps you steady. I remember a time when I was offered something that looked like success, status, praise, visibility, but it required me to compromise something I deeply believed in. And for a moment I was tempted. It would have been easy to say yes, but I paused. I asked myself, who will I become if I choose this? And the answer was clear. I would gain the world and lose myself. So I walked away, quietly, and while others didn't understand, I slept in peace that night, because I knew I hadn't betrayed my own code. The truth is, when you live by your values, not everyone will applaud. Some will call you difficult. Some will call you arrogant. But deep down, even those people will respect you, because conviction is rare. And people may not say it out loud, but they always remember the one who didn't fold, the one who stood firm when it would have been easier to sway. So ask yourself, what do I stand for when no one is watching? What do I protect even when it costs me? That's your truth. That's your foundation. Live by that, not for attention, not for praise, but for alignment. Because when your actions match your values, you become untouchable. Not because life gets easier, but because your path becomes clearer. And that clarity is a kind of power no one can take away. Respect is never truly earned through noise, attention, or the approval of others. It is built quietly in moments of restraint, in the choices you make when no one is watching. True strength is not about dominating the room. It's about mastering yourself. When you stop chasing validation and start living by values, discipline, and inner clarity, you stop needing applause to feel worthy. Let your silence speak volumes. Let your consistency be the proof. Let your peace disturb those who thrive on chaos. And above all, remember this: you do not gain respect by demanding it. You gain it by becoming someone who no longer needs to ask.